Melissa, thank you. I want to call the Circleville City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Melissa, could you do the roll call, please?
Keller.
Here.
Hedges.
Here.
Tice. Here. Klitzka.
Here.
Hallinan.
Here.
Moats.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Duval.
Here.
We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Council, you should have received a copy of the minutes from the October 15th City Council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Is there a
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept the minutes is recorded, seconded by Zach Brooks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Those minutes will be recorded as filed. Reports from council members that are here tonight or committee reports. Anybody have a report? Katie Hedges, the finance chair.
Thank you, President Keller. We had a finance meeting on October 22nd where we discussed 3 different pieces of legislation, all 3 of which are on the agenda tonight. I will speak to those when they come. I also did want to announce that we will be having another finance meeting on November 14th, which is next Thursday at 5 o'clock. As of right now, there's just one housekeeping ordinance on that agenda. It's potential there may be something else relating to the NCA, but for right now, it's just a housekeeping ordinance.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else? Sherry Tice of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Thank you, President Keller. I would like to announce that we will have a strategic planning meeting next Tuesday, November 12th at 7 o'clock or following the committee of the whole meeting. It may be a little bit later if that committee of the whole meeting runs long, but next Tuesday.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Tom Duvall, Service Committee Chair.
Thank you, President Keller. We have 2 resolutions to discuss this evening, which will be ably covered by our Utilities Director.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thanks, Tom. Anyone else? Tom Klitzky.
I would just like to say thank you, a big thank you for the folks here in the city that stood up for the Safety Forces Levy. Amazing, people got out and folks came together. Obviously, we're interested to see what happens here after 7:30. Also, fire department. Maybe I'm taking some fire or taking some words from the non-mayor because it was one of those weeks where a lot of things happened and a lot of good. And I had the opportunity to take part in pretty much all of them itself. The medicine take back was amazing. I was able to get rid of both human and dog medicine. Childcare. I have 2 grandchildren, and they both have car seats in my vehicle. They took care of that. PICA came through. Melissa and her team made sure that and I thought I was good at what I do.
Not so much?
Not so much. And of course, the fire department open house. Wow, nice. I made a point to go over there, and it was just and obviously I'm going to leave the rest for the honorable mayor to talk about. But a lot of thanks to a lot of people, and it was all good.
Yeah. You're right, Tom. My family and grandchildren attended the firehouse open house, and they enjoyed that as well to see the big apparatuses in the building. So yeah, that was all good stuff, and we could just get our fingers crossed that we have a successful, positive vote tonight on the safety levy.
And I think too, it was a great opportunity to meet more of our police and fire in all the activities that went on last week. So that was a plus too. And the invites are there for us to come over and visit, both departments and so on. So that's a plus. But kind of get an idea of what our firefighters and what our police and EMS are all about, and just good conversations along the way too. So definitely appreciate it.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to announce on November the 12th, there will be a committee of the whole meeting at 6 p.m. Prior to the Strategic Planning Committee. The purpose of the meeting, I know at this point, will be for two reasons. One is to consider a resolution to appoint a new council clerk. We will talk about that at the committee as a whole. And secondly, we will hear our report from our consultant the council has hired. Mr. Paul Pride will be at the podium to deliver his report to council and the public for his many weeks of work doing an assessment of the police department. So that'll be, again, next Tuesday here in council chambers at 6 o'clock. Reports of city officials that are here tonight as council's guests. We have the auditor, law director, and mayor. Mark, you have a report?
I did not.
Kendra, do you have a report?
Just briefly, I have some items to discuss. Just kind of wanted to give council an insight. The month of October, our numbers out of municipal court, it's a busy month. My office opened 121 cases. We closed 99. Officer notifications were 44. Issued 83 subpoenas and issued 83 responses to discovery. Additionally, we began focusing on drafting training for report writing for not only the police department, but all law enforcement agencies within the county. My office has also been invited in May of 2025 to attend a response to bombing incident seminar that is being put on in South Bloomfield. It's free of charge. I think that invite will also be forwarded to all first responders, emergency room personnel, and then of course prosecutors. Additionally, we are implementing some roll call training within South Bloomfield, but obviously since I serve as the municipal prosecutor, just kind of briefing you on that. I will call your attention to our agenda for this evening. In reference to item number 11, you will see that I did make a request at the finance meeting, which the majority of council was present at the October 22nd meeting, to revisit item number 1 that is listed there. That is an ordinance that originated out of the Judicial Committee. That is also to be cross-referenced with item number 10, letter E on our agenda, which is an ordinance that has the potential to come to vote tonight. My expression is obviously the ordinance in item 10, number E, would encompass the ordinance that has already previously been proposed in item 11.1. So I would ask that if a vote occurs on item 10E, that be kept in mind when we get to the next section of the ordinances. Additionally, just to kind of give a bird's eye view of where we are at for the rest of the remainder calendar year that seems to be flying by, my office will be entering into union negotiations. We are up for a wage with opener with the police department, as well as a full fire and EMS contract coming into the upcoming 2025 year. So I anticipate at some point I will be calling on members of council to provide some insight as to where those negotiations go, so that all sides, when we are at the table, can make it a meaningful and productive set of negotiations. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Kendra. Mayor Michelle Blanton.
Thanks, President Keller, members of council. On your desk this evening, you should have received a flyer. This is from the Human Kindness Alliance. This is an opportunity for the community and members of council, the city, to participate in their supporting Pickaway County youth. There are drop boxes that are going to be placed throughout the community where items can be dropped off. That the list is there: Scioto Valley Coffee, Toodles Pumpkin Inn, the Presbyterian Church, the Y. If you can't make it to a site, there is a QR code that can be scanned to where you can purchase something from an Amazon list to have sent to this group. The items that are on the wish list are winter boots and shoes, winter coats, duffel, weekend bags, underwear, socks, pull-ups, travel, toiletry items, etc. They're also given the opportunity for monetary and gift card donations. So I told the organizers of this event that I would share it with council and give credence to it for the citizens of Circleville at a city council meeting. So you should have the flyer. Please feel free to share it with any group that you are a part of, share it on social media, etc. This month, the end of February or the end of October, beginning of November, I did receive a resignation of Bob Sneed from the Circleville Records Commission. So I will be looking to appoint a new member to that board. Thank you to Bob for his 12 years of service on that board. It is an indefinite appointment. It does not have a term limit because it is put in place by Ohio Revised Code for us to have. Speaking of records retention, I met with the law director today. We are looking at a citywide plan for records retention, the destruction of old records that are part of the schedule for each department within the city. So please note that there might be some training at the beginning of the year that we're going to be going through on a citywide basis. I met with a member from the Wingate team today. They are doing a grand opening or grand reopening, if you will, on December the 13th. So I would encourage any member of the community who is able to come, please feel free to go out there to see their facilities. I'll be going out for a tour before that event where I will be speaking as part of that event. Previous Mayor McElroy will also be there to share in the benefit of having that facility in our community. Thank you to Councilperson Klitschko for his comments about the events that has been going on within the city. As you may know, since our last meeting here together, we have appointed a new police chief. The chief is Kenny Fisher. He was sworn in, and so we had a great crowd at the municipal court building for that ceremony, and then as well as the promotion of Officer, now Sergeant Matt Harrell. And so thank you for everyone who came out to support him. Really excited about the team and how it's progressing and moving forward. Looking forward to seeing what the team does. Lastly, I will be out of the office starting on November the 10th through November the 18th. I will be traveling for the city to Tampa, Florida for a nationwide conference. And so while I will not be here for the meetings, I will be here in spirit. So thank you.
Any questions for the mayor, law director, or auditor? Okay. We're at the portion of the meeting the public is allowed to address city council. Anybody from the public like to address? You give us your name and your address. You have 5 minutes. Your comments will be recorded. And clerk will keep track of your time.
Okay, it's William Haddix from 531 East Union. I'm not going to put any personal, opinions or anything over another into this, but several people around town, and I deal a lot with the public through work and just other things, have brought to my attention in the last, I say week or so, of a rumor that is going around. And like I said, I don't know anything of how it got started or where or what, but that the mayor was trying to make us a sanctuary city to allow whoever, and for money issues is what I've been told. I don't know, but from what the rumors, was told to me was that she has full authority to do that on her own. And that was going to be the second part of my question. If that were to be a thing, I'm not saying anything's true or not, because I don't have any idea, but what would a procedure look like for something like that to be implemented? Would that be a full city council vote, like many of us have seen, in other cities that have done this, like Columbus and other places? Or is that something mayor can do on her own? I don't know. It was also said that, she had been questioned and never given a full answer. So I don't know one way or another. Like I said, I've got my own opinions, but I don't want to throw anything out there. Not at this time anyway. Just trying to get, some answers for some concerned citizens, because I told them I would try to find something else. So figured the best place to do is come here and just ask.
Hey, so Williams, so you're here to address city council. So I recommend you go set up an appointment with the mayor.
Okay.
And ask her directly in her office that question.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dave Horning, come on up. Please give us your name and your address.
Yes, I'm Dave Horning from 569 Plaza Drive in Circleville. And I just want to make a brief comment, if I can, about the records retention policy, just to share. I'm an old man, so I want to share my experience with you. If you have any insurance policies that are occurrence-based, please retain those policies. They are still in force and they can still be valuable. If there was a policy from 20 years ago, but somebody tripped 20 years ago and just discovered now that that was the trip that caused them a back accident and they wanted to sue the city of Circleville, that policy is still in force. So if it's a claims-made policy, that's a different subject. There has to be tail insurance, but just be very careful in your records retention policy when you handle the insurance matters. Definitely, John, you're an insurance expert, far more so than I am, but I would encourage you to talk to whoever's going to be doing the retention policy about that matter, about the insurance policies. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. I know the mayor is the chair of that commission by her title, and I know she's working with the law director, and I'm sure we're going to do what's required by Ohio Revised Code. But thank you for the information and the tip. Anyone else? All right. Are there any communications, Melissa?
No.
All right. That brings us to the business portion of tonight's meeting. We have several pieces of legislation, 5 it looks like. So, Melissa, if you want to go right ahead.
A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to apply for, accept, and enter into a water pollution control loan fund, WPCLF agreement on behalf of the city of Circleville for the planning of sanitary sewer regionalization and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this resolution that originated in the Service Committee. Tom Duvall, you'd like to speak to it?
Thank you, President Keller. We did discuss this at our last service committee and approved it and sent it to council with our recommendation for approval. If I could ask our utilities director to address that in more detail, I won't get it wrong.
Welcome, Brian. If you give us your name and your title.
Brian Frost, Utilities Operations Manager. That is a sort of a preliminary effort, planning loan through the OWDA. They typically go in steps: planning, design, and construction. This is an effort to look at the tributary areas outside the city and extend sewer into areas that might be most likely to develop. Or this effort is really to drill down and kind of see where those would be the most viable. I know it's a consideration that we've had with different, developments, different retail developments. Everybody knows how Central Ohio's kind of doing. There's some side benefit to maybe picking up a few lift stations. So we've targeted several different areas to investigate, and this allows, our engineering firm to drill down more specifically.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Any other questions, comments from Brian?
This is basically what you need to apply for a loan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that loan is going to be running around 65-ish?
Yeah,
I
in
know
that
it's
vicinity.
Undetermined right now, but
Yep.
ballpark.
And we do have, intentions of taking that into design, which would mean that would just simply roll into the design loan. So
Thank you.
pretty modest effort. Yes.
Brian, is this something that's necessary with the upcoming developments then?
Yes, we feel so. It's just as a matter of proactivity and trying to get the most value that we can, especially out of our new facilities now. We want to be able to take advantage of as much of that as we possibly can.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments related to the resolution? Is there any motions? Motion to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Seconded by Zach Brooks. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Klitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Council, you are free to act on the resolution.
Motion for adoption?
Motion for adoption by Sherry Tice, seconded by Tom Klitzka. Roll call, please, on the motion for adoption.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Klitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
And assigned 11/82/2024, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account, planning loan agreement on behalf of the city of Circleville for the design of the new water facilities on South Court Street and designated a dedicated repayment source for the loan.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this resolution, again from the Service Committee. Tom?
Again, we did discuss and approve sending it to council, or move to approve it to council for approval. This is fairly major. And again, I would pass to Brian to discuss in detail. And this is not necessarily good news.
This is basically the beginning of our effort. Given our requirements with lead service line removal replacement. Believe it or not, I mean, we have a whole presentation for you that we'll try to get before you. We submitted our, it's using an acronym. It's an LSL inventory. We got it submitted on the 16th. We have notifications that have to go out to the public by the 15th of this month. We've known this was coming. This will actually be, these efforts are in force currently. The full rule comes into reality in 2027. This is the removal of lead service lines, galvanized that require replacement, and we had to do an inventory of unknowns because obviously a lot of this is underground. This is our first step in an area where we know we have lead connections. Our mains, of course, are probably clay or cast down there. I'm sure it's cast on Court Street, but this is a significant area where lead might be present. We are required by the Environmental Protection Agency to get this out of the ground in a systematic 13-year effort, more or less. This is our beginning of that. This is a design loan to get those, to get the process designed fully by Strand, our engineering associates. And that's really the essence of it. It's an effort we hope to get off the ground next year. We will be coming to you with more of a capital improvement plan that involves steps along the way year after year and how we're going to address this. The biggest thing to take away from this is there's no real reason to panic. Our water chemistry has never changed. Our corrosion control protection protects our water. This is a reflection of things that happened in places like Flint, Michigan, where, professionals didn't do their job. Our consumer confidence report is rock solid. Our history is rock solid. We know but we do have pieces and components and connectors. Lead wasn't banned until 1988. So there are pieces out there. We'll get them out.
Yeah. This could be a major undertaking.
Yes, it
Could be.
could be. We're going to try and do it systematically. Again, we're going to try to do the largest areas that we can for the most cost-effective means. So, and this is the start of that.
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions for Brian? Tom?
I do. Brian, I just want to we're talking about everything underground. We're not talking about a new building or anything of that order, are we?
Correct.
Right.
There is a lot of our system, over half of our system, that's perfectly free of this.
No.
We've got, 5,700 connections now. I think we're probably talking 1,800 notices between unknowns, galvanized because galvanized under the right conditions can collect lead that might have been leached into the system. That's basically why that is the largest component.
Appreciate you keeping us informed.
No problem.
Good information.
My pleasure. Yes,
And you said that notices would be mailed out to residents who are affected by this
that is correct.
next week-ish?
Yes, by the 15th.
By the
Yep.
15th,
We'll have them postmarked by the 15th, probably delivered by then.
Should be getting them by the end of the month.
We have options we can do. We're still kind of weighing that out, whether we do a blanket email, whether we go regular traditional mail, but they've given us some flexibility there with that.
And certainly, if anyone has questions, they can call your office
Absolutely.
and ask about it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to
Thank you.
suspend the rules by Jeff
Thank you.
Howland, seconded by Tom Klitzker. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Council, you're free to act on the resolution.
Motion to adopt.
Motion for adoption by Tom Duval, seconded by John Moats. Roll call, please, on the motion for adoption.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Assigned 11/83/2024. An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery by the city of applications to add property to the Circleville New Community Authority and supplemental declarations to the Declaration of Covenants and Restrictions for the Circleville New Community Authority under Revised Code Chapter 349.
Council, for the first reading of this ordinance from the Finance Committee. Katie?
Thank you, President Keller. So this came out of our 1022 meeting. It is essentially adding property to the current territory for the NCA, potential new developers in that area.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Are there any motions?
Suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Zach Brooks, seconded by Sherry Tice. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Council, you are free to act on the ordinance. Motion for passage by Katie Hedges, seconded by Zach Brooks. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
This is assigned 11/84/2024. An ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance in the General Fund 101 Capital Improvement 0.4% Income Tax Fund, 206 Police and Fire Disability Pension Fund, 217 and Capital Improvement Fund, 306 of the City of Circleville.
Council, for the first reading of this ordinance from the Finance Committee. Katie?
Thank you, President Keller. Also came at the 1022 meeting. This is our 13th housekeeping ordinance of the year. It was for just over $200,000, the majority of it being for about $180,000 being the purchase of the Atwater land just north of the Atwater School Building. It did come with a recommendation for passage from our committee.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Any comments or questions? Any motions?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Katie Hedges, seconded by Tom Klitzka. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend council rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Council, you're free to act on the ordinance. Motion for passage by Tom Duval, seconded by Sherry Tice. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
This is assigned 11/85/2024. An ordinance amending and repealing certain provisions of the ordinance numbers 212/2010, 835/2011, 857/2012, 965/2015, 1173/2018, 518/2020, 517/2021, 629/2021, 1265/2021, 1076/2022, and 211/2024, and implementing a uniform compensation system for the non-bargaining unit positions of the City of Circleville and declaring an emergency.
Council, for the first reading of this ordinance, again from the Finance Committee.
Thank you, President Keller. This discussion actually happened over the course of two different finance meetings. The most recent one being on October 22nd. This is the culmination of an inordinate amount of work that came to us from the Law Director's Office and the HR Director. It is essentially cleaning up, correcting, bringing current the current comp plan that we have. It's abolishing positions that have been budgeted but not filled for quite some time. It was just really cleaning up that effort. Those changes for 2024 result in about a $7,500 delta. That is the difference between what was already budgeted and those changes. At both meetings, we had the opportunity to ask a lot of questions. In between the two meetings, we sent out, I think it was like 18 different documents to City Council for questions, any concerns that they had. And then the discussion, again, like I said, happened on 10/22, and it did come with a recommendation for passage at this meeting tonight.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Sherry?
I do. I'm sorry. I just want to clarify that I'm understanding correctly because we've gotten these rates and the headings over the rates are different on what was originally given out to what we just received. So I just want to clarify that I'm understanding correctly and that for the public also. it's explained correctly. First off, is it fair to say, Katie, that we did the uniformed employees and they got a 4% raise, and then the other union group also got a 4% raise, which is the non-union, is that correct? The non-uniformed employees,
Yes,
they,
okay, so the NUEO did get I believe, a 3% raise.
3%?
And then historically, the difference, and we discussed that in some of these committee meetings, is usually the comp plan employees are set at a percentage higher traditionally in the
Okay.
past history of comp plan enactments. Obviously then we had police and fire that have had fire that's had a previous negotiation, and then the police finding that we had earlier this year.
And the non-uniformed employees covers like the service department and the water department, sewer department.
Those union that are recognized as union employees, there are also some other union employees within different departments throughout the city, including Mr. Bidwell has a union position in his office. My office does not have a union position at this point in time, but then the majority of the rest of the union, the non-uniform union employees do fall within water and sewer.
So what we're doing right now is addressing the rest of the employees
These are all of the rest of
that
the
fall
employees
underneath
that,
the compensation package, which is
Correct.
primarily the administrative offices.
correct.
Is that correct? Just,
Predominantly, yes.
yes. I mean, obviously there's some specifics. Okay, so this ordinance in section 1D raises the salary ranges for the non-bargaining unit classifications as established in attachment A. And that was the very last page that came through. And you changed the headings from what we were given before the meeting on the 22nd of October. So I just wanted to clarify. The first thing we have is what's current. Auditor Bidwell, you following what I'm asking?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I'm sorry, I was actually trying to pull that up here.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so we've got, then to correct the baseline, we have a 10% increase across all of those salary ranges. Is that correct? So what the second column is June 1st of 2024. And as of June 1st, which will be retroactive, this will be the new salary ranges, correct?
Correct.
So the salary ranges are all increasing by 10%.
No, by 4, because I believe the initial 10% was the first column that you're seeing. So, Mark, you want to see this?
Yeah, it's
That's why I'm asking, because it's like, we were told the first column was what it currently is, and then as of 6/1/24, then that's the second column, which is 10% increase. Is that right, or am I misunderstanding?
No, the first column is, in order to get everything back to where originally we wanted everything to be, we had to put the numbers together from basically the baseline from 2007, I believe it was, when the first comp plan came out. And we forecasted that from that 2007 date up until 2024 based on the percentage of increases that's happened during that time period. So in order to get a baseline to start with, to say, okay, this is where we should be, that's what that very first line is. So that's where we should be going into 1/1 of 2024.
So our actual pay scale is lower than what this is. You have adjusted it
Some
up
of
to
it's
where we
higher,
should.
some of it's lower.
Okay,
So
so some of
it was all just getting it adjusted and put it back to a specific range that would encompass everybody that currently is in our comp plan. Well, not everybody, but encompass most everybody that's in our comp plan.
Okay, so this is straightening up the levels so that they're
Correct.
in line, so some of them need to go up
And the percentages between the pay grades.
in the
So-
percentage.
So traditionally, when this was formulated, we would have a break based on either every 3 or every 4 pay ranges. Those would separate from our baseline. And this is not a position anymore, but we would have a typist.
Right.
And then all the way then till we get to an executive director, like the HR director, the police chief, or the safety director. So clearly there should have been breaks in terms of what the pay ranges were between certain classes of employment jobs. So that's what was resetting those to get those ranges also, not only get the ranges in order, but get the spacing between the ranges.
Is that one of the things that some of them had been adjusted and others had
Correct.
not over
So-
the years? It hadn't been done as a whole
And prior
uniformly?
involvement with other entities at some point in time, there had been maybe an adjustment to one specific pay grade and not the whole, and not the
Right.
3 or 4 lumped together.
That's what I'm asking.
Also for just a specific person, it's getting everything uniformed again.
Okay, so that got everything into a uniform state. And then we're going to add 10% to all of that. Is that correct?
10% to the pay.
To each of the
scale.
pay scales, right,
Yes.
this- to the scale,
Yes.
to bring it in more in line with what other cities our size are paying their ranges
Yes,
essentially?
and to capture a larger group of people, because a lot of them, in order to get to where we were at to begin with, a lot of them were above the pay scale, so we had to get there, and then the 10% captures almost everybody again. So then we're going to be able to basically on that 10% increase. Now, again, that's not 10% increase on their salary. And I know you understand that, but I
Yes.
just want to clarify that that's just so they can fall anywhere in between that range, and that range has increased by 10%.
So got it in line first, and then we raised it by 10% just to get things in better line. But that does not mean that the employees are getting a 10% raise,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
It's just the 10% only applies to the salary ranges, the pay grade ranges.
Correct. So long-term, when we come back in 3 years to revisit this to council, we just have to make minor adjustments. This should be a living entity that can breathe and adjust as our employees are, each year as we vote or as you vote to increase wages. Those, we won't have to reshape those pay ranges again. So we're trying to create the entity where it can breathe consistently and have a long-term standing compensation plan that every 3 years, I'm not coming to you with an 8-page ordinance about the changes we need to make.
So every 3 years, we would come with a cost of living type of increase.
I think that would be
When you
the
say
difference.
breathe, you mean it's
Yes.
going to increase
Yes.
incrementally
Yes.
through, right? Okay. Okay, so, because that's the thing, when we have the other sheet that actually does discuss specific employees and what, how their pay will be affected, it does say 10% on there, like it goes up 10%, but I was doing the math and it really does not. It reflects 4%, which is what we're getting, right? So this is where the confusion, comes in. It's like the headings are not matching what you were telling me, so I wanted to make sure. But the pay grade, the pay ranges itself, just on the pay range scale, that will go up. It looks like it goes up 10% as of June 1st, 2024, and then another 4% June 1st, 2025, or is it January?
That will
Pay
actually
grades go
go
up in
in January 21st. So we are cleaning up because there was a discrepancy in all of the history between starting in calendar years or fiscal years. I want to get everything in a calendar year so it is straightforward when the auditor's ready and these are all clear cut. We know what date we're looking at and we can go forward instead of bouncing back and forth.
Yes, all right, so that's just the pay grades, the ranges are increasing. Very good. Okay, so it looks like this is going to add to the actual wages, like you said, 7,500 differential, but it's an actual $56,000 increase for this year, the impact, and because that's a 6-month increase. And then next year, 2025, it will be 98,170. So we're getting close to $100,000 on our budget next year. Is that correct, Mark?
No, the first year, 2024, sorry, I'm pulling up that sheet as well. 2024, it's actually $7,487.79 based on the approval of a 4% increase. So
That was budget.
the 4% increase, I'm sorry. So yes, so if you're including the 4%, I'm sorry, where are you getting the 90?
I'm at the last column, 2025 impact.
Okay.
98,000 was the total increase, but you're talking about the 21,000 then would be versus what was budgeted. Is that correct?
No, that's with the changes in the people's their pay grades. So the pay grade, if the 4% came along, that's I guess what I would say is that was an assumed number, the 4%. What we have on top of that assumed 4% number is the comp plan employees that changed comp plan positions or were added to the comp plan. And that was where the $7,400 was included. So the total of all the columns for 2024 as a whole, $56,000, what you were referring to
Yes.
there, the $56,000 is based on the assumption of a 4% increase. If there was zero raise, there would be a $0 increase.
Right, so that's the impact if we adopt this plan.
That's correct.
Yes,
Yes,
right,
yes.
that's what
I
you
just
meant.
want to make sure I was hearing you correct.
Yes.
You are correct.
But I think when he's saying the assumption, Mark, am I correct in saying that you've budgeted for that? in
Yeah,
the
that's already-
previous
2025 budget
determination?
also.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, that's already budgeted.
Yeah, I understand it's budgeted. I'm just
Mhm.
clarifying the
Oh,
numbers,
yeah.
making sure I
I'm-
understand.
It's a
because
lot of stuff.
It's a lot of
going on.
numbers.
It's a lot of stuff.
it's a
And the
lot
law
of-
director's eliminating a position up from her office, which I can't remember the total.
Yes, I know
Mark,
it's
I
going to
can't remember if you
offset
tell us
the,
that. Yeah.
the increases and the differences. Yes, I do that. Okay, so I know this is separate from the levy question, but, I guess my question, for you, Mark, is if the levy does not pass tonight and we do not have $2.1 million in revenue,
Mhm.
how is that going to affect the city? Not specifically this group of people, but just the city at large? I mean, is that going to, since it's safety levy money, is it going to be taken out of the safety funding?
Are you asking completely separate from the comp
Yes,
plan?
separate from this, but just it's all in the big picture. If we're getting a lot less money coming in, I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like
I do.
we put on new positions, several new positions this year, which is wonderful for the city. I don't want anybody to lose their job because we've given raises, but if the levy doesn't pass, then obviously the police and fire are going to have.
I think it's
Couple
important
million
though that
dollars
we
less
don't
money.
use the word give people raises because we didn't like hand out raises. We corrected,
But ultimately, they're getting
inaccurate.
raises, which is good. They deserve raises. People should have
we
cost of
corrected
living
what it
raises.
should have been,
Yeah.
what they didn't get
10%
previously.
is not a raise.
I know that's not, but if 4% plus 4% plus 4%, it's 12% over the next 3 years. So anyway, which is fine.
I guess
which
this is my throwing this back out is we've already handled every other entity
Yes.
this year.
Sure.
And so this is the last group of employees that have not been.
Which is where I
Resolved.
started this conversation.
So
Yes.
why I understand the ramifications long-term and what the question is, because I do think that those are important questions. But I would also caution to say that we have lots of employees here that we need to address.
100%.
And then going forward, whatever the outcome is this evening, then I think can be addressed, departmentalized with each area branch of the city government to address how we are going to move forward if a levy does not pass.
Well, and I think that's, to your point, it's like, that's obviously a question.
It's a question.
That is,
It's
in
a
my
concern.
opinion, with all due respect, it's a question and conversation to be had completely separate from this ordinance. But I think
Yes,
it's a very
yes.
important one.
It's just,
And I think with our contract work that is going to be going on here in the next month or so, that's going to be based a lot on what does happen tonight going forward. And again, like I stated before, 2025, we are in good condition for. I hate to say that as an auditor. I want to say, we need to tighten. But right now, 2025, we're in good shape. 2026 would be where the rubber hits the road and we'd have to figure out what we really need to do. And again, that would give us a year to make those decisions and start figuring out what we can do. And again, I appreciate the questions because I think they're all valid. And I think that's what everybody wants to know. And, I think going back to this is something that should have happened, again, back in June. And we're just kind of keep pushing pushing it down the road a little bit. And by nobody's fault, it's just we had to do a lot of work to make it there. But I'm thinking that, with the 4 and 8 and 12, 12% over 3 years, it's going to basically put us back to where we should be, in my opinion.
sure. Well, and I certainly want the employees to have They're increases. You like the word increases better than raises.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that sentiment either.
Sure, of course, of course. And I would actually also like to request, because I'm a big picture thinker as I'm asking these questions. Mark, could you, when you get a chance, send out to all of council the spreadsheet that has our debt obligations,
Yes.
all the loans that we have outstanding and how we have to pay for them for the next, 20, 30 years? Because I know we have some newer council members who probably haven't seen that document, and it's good for all of us to look at it occasionally and know kind of where we are, because we have been spending some money.
If I may ask on that, with the debt, there is a lot that is under the enterprise, the utilities. I can send it all out with the utilities, but I will tell you that it's going to look all very skewed.
No, you're talking about the water treatment
Yeah,
plant.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's
I
all
mean, we have
separate.
a $40 million loan right now, so that has nothing to do with
No,
our obligations as a city.
that's not
So-
what I was referring to.
Okay,
The
so
other
yeah,
things.
I can take out those and I will send out the one that just has the city obligations.
Thank you, that would be great. Appreciate it. I think that covers it.
So I just want to make a comment, Sherry.
Sure.
So I appreciate all your questions. Maybe it could have been done prior to the meeting, but I will tell you that the comment or question around the safety levy,
Mhm.
and it passes or it doesn't pass. If it doesn't pass, there's a lot of work to be done with the budget,
Sure.
but all that has nothing to do with this ordinance. Because we have done ordinances all year that mindset wasn't a part of those ordinances being passed, things purchased around what's going to happen with the levy.
Sure.
So this particular group of employees is not hinged on whether or not that safety levy passes or fails. If it passes, great, fingers crossed. If it doesn't, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's primarily going back to safety forces. But that's got nothing to do with this ordinance.
Understood. It's just on our minds tonight.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand if your questions are for clarity or for opposition. That's where.
No,
I
just
would
for
say.
clarity.
Okay.
Just for clarity.
Katie?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend council rules, seconded by Jeff Hallinan. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend council rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Motion for passage.
Motion for passage by Jeff Hallinan, seconded by John Moach. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
The ordinance passes.
Is assigned 11/86/2024.
Thank you, Melissa. That brings us to the new business portion of tonight's meeting. At the request of the law director, she had requested for some cleanup after the passage of the comp plan. There is an ordinance that's been sitting on council's tabled ordinances. We have the title. So first, let's have, for just legally, to consider the legislation, do we need to add it to the agenda?
Yeah, I would move to add it to the agenda. And then from my standpoint, I guess even though I don't have a vote or any say, I would urge you to deny passage because this ordinance has just been passed in the subsection E ordinance we just passed under new business or under the ordinances before council. So it's absolved and already created in that new comp plan, when essentially we thought that the comp plan was going to be 6 or 7 smaller ordinances. We were doing it this way until, as you can see, we got into 8 pages worth of stuff. So because of that, I would respectfully ask that you decline the passage of this ordinance if you move it to the table to vote on tonight.
Sure. Could I have a motion to add this ordinance to the agenda?
Yes.
So moved by Jeff Hallinan, seconded by Tom Klitzka. Motion to add the ordinance that's listed under new business. And once we add it to the agenda, I'll have her read the title. Roll call, please, on the motion to add it to the agenda.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Okay, it's up for its first reading. So Melissa, if you could read the title.
An ordinance amending chapter 139.02 of the codified ordinances of the city of Circleville, establishing the composition of the city of Circleville Department of Utilities and declaring an emergency.
Council, you've heard the first reading of the ordinance. As mentioned earlier, it's a part of no longer needed. So can we go through the suspension rules and vote it down?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules by Sherry Tice, second by Jeff Hallinan. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend council rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Council, you're free to act on the ordinance.
I guess motion for passage.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion for passage by Jeff Hallinan, seconded by Sherry Tice. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
No.
Tice.
No.
Plitzka.
No.
Hallinan.
No.
Moats.
No.
Brooks.
No.
Duval.
No.
The ordinance does not pass.
Good job.
Is that good enough, Kendra?
That is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the last thing under our new business, we do have an executive session for two purposes. I'll let Katie Hedges make those motions.
Thank you. So the first is to motion to adjourn into executive session to consider confidential information related to negotiations with another political subdivision respecting a request for an economic development assistance. Do you want me to read them both at once?
Yeah, so that's one.
Okay, so that would be one, to include the law director, the mayor, Tim Colburn, director of P3, and all of council, as well as the president of council.
Auditor?
No auditor, right?
You want to stay, Mark? You're welcome to. You can include him.
And to include the auditor, if
Yeah.
you'd like to stay. And then the second purpose of executive session is to motion to adjourn into executive session to consider the employment of a public official, employee, or official pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1. One thing just to point out to the previous one, that is in regards to Ohio Revised Code 5709.40 to 5709.43
So there is a motion
and 701.
for the purpose of two executive sessions. Is there a second?
Sure.
Seconded by Jeff Hallinan. Before we do the roll call, once the executive sessions are over, we will only come back in the regular council to adjourn. But Kendra?
With regards to the motion for the second executive session, I need,
To include the law director, the
Thank you.
mayor, all of council,
And the safety director.
and the safety director, Rob Blair.
Yes.
Yes.
Again, we'll only come back to adjourn. Roll call, please, on the motion for executive session.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Okay, we'll adjourn to executive session once the room clears. Thank all of you for coming.